Hi, so today we're talking about the procurement process on Genesis. The version 2 actually brings up more robust, controlled procurement process, which we explained. Now, we have our inventory and we have the procurement process, right? Under this procurement process, we have four menus. The first one is vendor management. This has to do with this is where we add our vendors into the system. And not just add only the vendors, right? We can also view the details of the vendor, right? We can also see the items that we've requested from the vendor and their status. And also the payment history documents, if there are documents that maybe receipts and some accompanying documents from the vendor that needs to be uploaded into the system, that can also be done here. And even if there are notes, especially for external auditors or a case where there has to be documentation of an event, right? It can also be added here. But this is just vendor management. This is not where we are requesting or starting up the procurement process, right? So, but to start up the procurement process itself, we have the departmental request. This is where it all starts from. Now, you can create a request. Select your department. Let me say pharmacy and the store. Let's say from pharmacy store as an example, right? We pick the priority of this request we want to make. Let's just say it is a low priority request. Maybe just something we need to just fill up our store, right? And by default, right, we have the list of our products here. If you click on this all products, it selects all the products that you have in that pharmacy store that we selected. If you click on out of stock, it shows you all the items that are currently out of stock. If you click on below reorder, it shows you all items that are below the reorder level based on your setup from the initial um, product setup, right? And if they are critical items, they are mostly items that are out of stock, right? You also get to see them here, right? So I'll start with this atropine sulfate injection. And also we can also search for an item. So let me just say atropine, right? So this is the item we want to work with today. Let's say atropine. So let's start with this. I select it and I put in the quantity and say I want to request for 100. If there are notes, accompanying notes for whoever will be approving it, right? So we've selected this. We can do more than one, but let's just start with this, right? And then I click on submit request. So we've created the departmental request. But now it doesn't end here. A request has been made, right? For this item. Now, once you click on this action button and you click on review requests, we get to see the requests. We get to see the items that were requested. If it's more than one, we also get to see it here. And then we also get to see this action where we either approve the request or reject the request. So in this case, let's say uh, approve request, right? And then we get to, so these are optional. If they're expected supply dates, comments, they are optional, right? So I won't be going with that. Let me just click on confirm approval. Now this has been approved, right? The procurement officer can then take um can then continue this process by clicking on create RFQ. So what is RFQ? It's just more like request for quotation. But basically, remember, we already have a list of vendors and their phone number and emails, right? So what we are trying to do here is we are creating a process whereby you can automatically send out uh, uh, quotations to your vendors, to their emails, and also get their prices and also compare the prices per vendors. So for this item now, if we have more than one vendor, let me just click on create RFQ so that it will be more explanatory. Yeah. So you see, we have this icon that says select vendors. So if there are more than one vendor, we can select them, right? But in this case, we only have one here currently. So I click on confirm selection. So what we are doing is that for each of our item, right, we can send out quotations to different vendors, right? And compare their prices based on what they've sent, what their prices for that item. And then we can also create a due date. Maybe you're expecting a response by next week or thereabouts, right? Now, when I click on create RFQ, right? This RFQ is generated. Now we have our RFQ, request for quotation, right? Now, there are two things. We can either generate the Excel sheet and send it to the uh what's it called, to the vendor, maybe via email, via WhatsApp, or if sometimes it can even be that the communication might be on phone, but the Excel needs to be filled up, right? Based on their prices for that item. Or if you want the system to automatically send it, you can just click on mark as sent, right? Um, so this mark as sent confirms that this this has been sent to the vendor's email and all, right? But in this case, I'll be doing the manual process. So I'll just click on generate Excel and it downloads the RFQ templates. Well, let me just click on generate PDF so that you see how it looks like. This is what it typically looks like. It will show the vendor the name of the items, the quantity, and then the unit price. And by default, especially if you're using the Excel, once you type in the value of the unit price, once you type in the value, the system automatically calculates the total price, right? I don't have Excel on this particular system. I would have showed you for just a minute. Let me see if I can bring something up. So this is what the RFQ looks like, right? You have the RFQ details, the vendor's information, and all of that. You have the item pricing. So this is our item. So let's say, for example, unit price is let's say 35 naira, right? And the system automatically calculates the total price. So let me save this, right? So let me save this, and this is what we'll be uploading, right? Um, in a minute. Okay, so we can then upload the response from the vendor, right? So we have the file upload, and then we can upload the response from the vendor, which is this RFQ here. And so I'll just select this one and click on open, then upload, right? There's also the manual entry process whereby we can enter the price that is being called up by the vendor, right? We can enter the price manually, or we can do the file upload of the prices, which is what I'll be doing. And I click on upload and process. And the system says status matched, and then we confirm the rates, right? Now, this has been uploaded. Now, remember, if you're following through with this RFQ, a document was generated, the document was sent, and then we've received response on the document, right? So on doing this, as you can see, we have a resp. We can also view it. We have the total quote value for this particular injection. It can be more than one item, but since it's this one that we are working with, right? Now, we have this. What is next, right? What is next? So we've received response for this right? We've received response for this. So what is the next thing that we are going to do, right? So that is to generate our purchase order. Now, remember I said the system now has the ability for us to compare the rates of each of the vendors, right? So we've received response from the vendors. We can now click on compare rates, right? This helps us to see, oh, this particular vendor, this is their price and their quotation and all, right? But how can we then generate the purchase order? We can simply select the vendor that we are going with. For example, if there are more than one vendors, we get to see more than one vendors here and their prices, and then we select the one that we want to go with and say save selection. And once we selected the vendor we are going with, click on generate purchase order, right? Um, and as you can see, there's a send purchase order notification to selected vendors, right? And also expected delivery dates. They are optional, but we can either select it or leave it, or if there are additional notes, right? And then we click on generate purchase order. Now, once we generated the purchase order, right, we have this draft here, right? And then we say send to vendor. Either send it automatically as an email service or manually send it as a generated PDF. It depends on how we want to do it, right? If it's as a generated PDF, we click on generate PDF and update status, it generates the PDF for us, right? Now we have our purchase order here, right? It still says it has been approved by maybe the head of procurement. But we have our purchase order and it has been approved, but we've not received the item yet. Now, in a case where the item is being brought to the facility and we've received it, right? The final step in the procurement is we come to the same purchase order, click on action, and then we say receive goods. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Let's say where are we receiving it to? Oh, we are receiving it to the main store, right? And then we have how many are we receiving at the point when they brought the item? Remember, we've ordered for 100, right? But how many did they bring to the facility at that time? Let's say, for example, it is 80, or let me just say 100. Let me just put in the value here and say 100. Right? What's the batch number of the item? Let me just use XYZ, right? Expiry dates of that particular item. Let's say it is 2027. It's an example, right? If there are more than one items, also do the same thing for them. We can add more than one batches too, depending on how it came, right? So click on add batch and add more batches if it's a different batch. And then we click on save receipts. So once we are done, this shows that we've received this item and that completes the whole procurement process, right? Completes the whole procurement process. And we can also view details of that particular procurement. Shows us for auditing and reference purposes. These are the items that came in and the items that we ordered, the items that we received, the unit price, the line total, and also we have the subtotal and the final total. And this is something that can be printed or downloaded as a PDF. For example, it gives us something like this for reference purpose, right? For reference purpose. So basically, this is the procurement process from end to end, involving all of the actors that will be responsible for different actions. Thank you.